Hi, my name is Riley, and this year I brought, once again, all of my skyscrapers and one new Frank Lloyd Wright house. This year was kind of different in that I spent a lot of time remodeling my skyscrapers and making them to the same scale instead of working on new stuff. So now, last year, instead of all of them being completely different scales, they're all 1 to 300. So basically, the middle one, which is the Golden Finance Center, got a foot added to it, which is a little bit nerve-wracking to look at. It's now about 6'5", I think. And the CN Tower is now an even 6 foot as opposed to 6'3", and I took about 14 inches off the Transamerica Pyramid, which was a bit of a problem because I needed to basically rebuild the whole thing to get it to be the right base size and all of that. And I'm still working on it a little bit because I wasn't able to completely replicate those triangles at the base of the building. It was a very, very difficult thing to try and get, and I think I've come up with an idea, but I'll just have to test it out and see how it works. And so along with fixing the CN Tower, I made a new interior structure which just basically runs up the center of the whole building, and everything after this big middle part just slides right over it, and there's little circular things around the pod to make the pod basically just fit tightly so it won't move. And so basically it's all just held in place and not really attached to anything formally. And that one also got a new base, which was incredibly fun to design but took me such a long time, mostly because I was trying to find a way to get these lines in here. That was pretty difficult, but I found a way to get some tiles in between some slopes. So I thought that turned out pretty nicely. And so now, I guess we can go to my Frank Lloyd Wright. This is my new Frank Lloyd Wright house. I actually started it, I think it was around early December or maybe January. And I pretty much got it finished, and then I forgot about it for a while. So I was basically scrambling to get the finishing touches on it for about 2 weeks before the show started. And I actually didn't get any of the landscaping done until I got here, so that was pretty interesting to see how it turned out. But one of the challenging things was the deck right here, which is very difficult because of the slopes. And basically all I did was I took tiles and put them on plates to make this nice slope, and I got some bricks with studs on the side, and I just stuck it on there real nice like that. And that was one of the more challenging things with this building. But another one was the windows with the brown slopes. There's kind of, in the real building, there's triangles, triangle like wooden cutouts on the building. And so what I did was I just built staggered 1x2 cleared plates and stacks of 2 studs tall. And every time I staggered it, I put a brown cheese slope in between them. So I got sort of like a triangle pattern. So
Great work here. So on the skyscrapers and the house, this is really fantastic. So I know with the skyscrapers you mentioned earlier about the scaling, so talk a little bit more about that process. I wanted to ask you about that and kind of how that worked for you, because I know you had to switch some things up kind of midway through.
Yeah, so I kind of, the scaling was kind of difficult. I can't actually take credit for doing the math. That was all my mom. I didn't know where to start with the math. I don't know why, but sometimes I get a little unsure about my equations when I get to that kind of stuff. So that was kind of difficult, but basically my mom did the math and told me, okay, this is how much you need to add to this one and that one, and I basically just got to work from there. The challenging thing about it was, I think, trying to still make it look like the original version, and making it look like, I don't know how to explain it really, but it was challenging trying to make it look like the original version I did it.
That real to life kind of effect.
Yeah, I wanted to get it to that effect precisely.
What are the challenges of building at this height? Because the building is so tall here. It's taller than you are. So how does that work when you're working on those buildings?
Well, I think the CN Tower is the only one that really needed an internal structure, mostly because of how precarious the shapes are that go on top of each other. I mean, it's a triangle or like a hexagon and then a circle and then another hexagon and then another circle. It's just crazy. So that one is really the only one, in my opinion, that needed something internal. But the Golden Finance Center actually does not have any internal structure. It just kind of rests on itself, and there's Technic pins with 1x4 Technic bricks that basically on all four sides hold it together. So you just snap the pin in there on all four sides, and it gets pretty stable. And another one that's not supported internally is the Transamerica Pyramid, which is already pretty much solid bricks, and it's a pretty basic shape. So that one was probably the easiest one to build at first, but the challenge was, once again, basically taking it all apart and finding a good size to start the base at. So I think I built it about another 3 times to try and get it to the right size.
So there's really a lot of sort of experimenting that goes into these buildings to get them, as accurate as possible and to the right scale.
Yeah, it's basically all trial and error.
Yeah. Well, I love to see your work every year and how you've improved over the years. I think this is some fantastic buildings here, so I'm glad you really challenged yourself with the scale and making them accurate, and can't wait to see what you have in the future. Thank you so much.